The Doctor and Unit investigate Ruby's past, but as the time window reveals horrifying secrets from Christmas Eve, the mysterious triad, technology, unleash the greatest evil of all. Welcome, friends and companions. How are you today? This is Enigmatic Joker on the Doctor Who channel or the Random Entertainment channel or whatever. Yeah, random. Because we'll discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books and music, and a special place on this channel for my most beloved sci-fi series, Doctor Who. Yeah, Doctor Who. And about a few hours, we have the series season finale, The Empire of Death. But first, today we have a live stream about the penultimate episode called The Legend of Ruby Sunday. This is called Random Entertainment Channel because we'll broadcast on non-fixed times, actually on many different times. This is also the case in Doctor Who Universe. The Doctor travels through time and space. He travels to the past. He's traveling to the future. He's traveling to different universes, parallel or planets, whatever. So it's non-fixed, non-linear, not and many travels. So this is also the case with this channel, random on non-fixed times, actually many different times. You need to subscribe to this channel what time the broadcast is. Yes, that's all about random, mysterious, enigmatic. That's, by the way, I'm called Enigmatic Joker. What's a joke? What a joke, what a joke. It's also what Patrick Troughton said in his regeneration in the War Games and the last episode of the War Games. He says, "Is this a joke?" Yeah, it's a joke. In fact, yeah. Okay. Random also because we have no guests for different guests. It depends what you show me in live stream or panel. If you want to join me in a live stream, feel free to contact me via a comment under one of the YouTube videos, or you can contact me via Discord server. And the Discord server is called Random Entertainment Channel. And as you are looking on this board, you tag Doctor Who, you will find my the server very quickly because I bump the server regularly. So this Discord server is, by the way, a perfect place to meet each other before, during, and after live streams because, we can talk about Doctor Who the whole day. To me, in my case, I can talk about Doctor Who all day. So yes, I'm looking forward to meet you. And you can also, you are invited for my live stream, but you can also feel free to invite me for your channel, for your live stream and panel, because I want to network and also want to contribute to your channel. So feel free to invite me for that. Because I'm available for that, especially as it goes deals about Doctor Who stuff. So, Resmi, this is cheers, mate, and have lots of fun this stream. Your host, Enigmatic Joker. That's me. That's me. That's me. And today, yeah, a 15th Doctor story, the legend of Ruby Sunday. Yes. I highly recommend you to watch this episode. Actually, this story is a two-parter, two episodes. It is the ultimate finale. And of course, I already said it. about a few hours, we have the ultimate finale in Empire of Death. But because we discussed the legend of Ruby Sunday, so that's very important. But before you watch or listen to this live stream, I highly recommend you to watch and listen to the episode, the story first before you actually listen further to this stream. It's for you to decide. So, what I'll do, I will do some general info about this episode. Okay, for the record, The Legend of Ruby Sunday is the seventh episode of series 14 slash season 1 of Doctor Who. It was released on June the 14th of 2024 on Disney Plus and June 15th, 2024 on BBC One. The episode's ending with a cliffhanger also called back to writer Rusty Davies' last series finale during series 4, The Stolen Earth, using the to be continued line during the end credits for the first time since 2008. The episode resolved a serious mystery of how all the characters played by Susan Twist, dating back to her first appearance in Wild Blue Yonder, along with three others encountered off screen before this episode, were all connected. It officially introduced Twist as the face of the people the Doctor and Ruby have continuously encountered throughout the beginning of the 15th Doctor's tenure. Susan, try it. And by the way, the Wild Blue Yonder is a story with the 14th Doctor, David Tennant, and of course his companion, Donna Noble. So, the one who waits, who was mentioned in The Giggle and The Devil's Court, is revealed to have a connection to Susan Triad, with the episode revealing the identities of both individuals were actually Sutag. The god of death's appearance marked the first time that he had appeared on the show since 1975's Pyramids of Mars, 49 years prior to the episode's release, and voiced by this original actor, Gabriel Wolfe, who last made an appearance in the series 17 years prior as the Beast in Impossible Planet and the Satan Pit. And so, for the record, Pyramids of Mars is a story with the fourth Doctor, Tom Baker, and with his companion, Sarah Jane Smith. And the Beast and in the Impossible Planet, and the Satan Pit are stories with David Tennant and his companion Rose. So, his reappearance also marks the return of a long unseen classic Aaron villain for the first time since the Toymaker in 2023's The Giggle. Wolf is so far the only actor from the classic era to reprise his role of a villain from said era. And at the age of 19 years old, yes, the second oldest actor to reprise the role of a character they had originated, after William Russell's final on-screen appearance as Ian Chesterton in cameo The Power of the Doctor at the age of 96. And The Power of the Doctor is a special with the 13th Doctor, Jodie Whittaker. The episode also saw the Doctor and Ruby directly trying to discover the identity of Ruby's mother. An arc started in the Church on Ruby Road. Oh. So, Church on Ruby Road, of course, it's Christmas special. To do so, they called on the help of UNIT through Kate Stewart's team and revealing Rose and Donna Noble and joined them following the events of the Giggle. Although Donna was not physically in the episode. Other notable characters reappearing for the first time since the giggle were Melanie Bush, the Vlinks, and Christopher Ibrahim. Okay, now we will dive into the plot. Let's go. At unit headquarters in London, Kate Lippert Stewart and her team are preparing for the arrival of the 15th Doctor Ruby Sunday in the TARDIS. On schedule, the TARDIS arrives, flying in through the room and parking in front of the screens in the bridge. The Doctor and Ruby emerge, a former greeting Kate, Rose Noble, Ibrahim, the Vlinks, and new members Harriet Urbinger and side advisor Morris Gibbons. The formalities finished, the Doctor draws his sonic screwdriver and transmits images of a woman he and Ruben keep encountering on their adventures. An ambulance on Casterian 3 in the 51st century, a communication officer at Pacifico del Rio, Lenny Pepper Bean's mother in Fine Time, or a portrait in 1813. The list goes on. Goes on and on and on and on. So, unimpressed, Kate reveals they have already been tracking the woman, Susan Triad, owner of Triad Technology since 2021, who is preparing for a formal announcement to the United Nations to reveal the new technology she intends to give away. The doctor quickly points out that S Triad is an anagram for TARDIS, but the group revealed they already figured that out. However, Ruby notes something else. The name Susan, puzzled, Kate's Kate asks what she means. The doctor explains that Susan is the name of his granddaughter. However, he quickly dismisses the possibility because, as a Time Lord, he would sense her presence even if she had regenerated. Morris quips that the situation seems to have 95% probability to be a trap for the doctor. Either way, when Susan changed the company's name to Estriad Technology 2 months ago, Kate assigned Melanie Bush to monitor Susan as an undercover agent on the press team, but she has still not found anything extraterrestrial about her. The doctor presses on, though, revealing another mystery concerning the unknown identity of Ruby's birth mother. The only point in time he encountered her was Christmas Eve 2004 when saving Ruby from the Goblin King. Kate reveals they also know about that, with Ruby making headline news for 2 days. Ruby remarks how she also tried to find her mother with help from Davina McCall, but it didn't work. Rose then suggests the doctor just go back in time and see her again, but he explains that because he went in the TARDIS once before, he was time locked himself from the event. So they need a different method because he can't cross his own timeline again. He also explains that Ruby's recollection of the event causes snow to fall whenever she does, proving the moment in history is a vulnerable one. Harriet then suggests they use CCTV footage that was captured 66 meters from the church. Ruby reveals she has one of the original VHS tapes, as she and Carla Sunday got it years ago to watch it, but were unable to work out her mother's face. Or suggests they use units technology to enhance the video so they can identify her. Excited, Ruby heads with Rose to Carla's flat to collect it. Meanwhile, at Triad's technology building, Susan continues practicing her speech, rewriting parts of its middle section with her PA. Now comes over, praising her efforts and believes she will do well. Wishing her luck, she shakes her hand. However, this was so Mel could use unit technology to take a DNA sample for her to check if she's really human. Now having it, she departs the scene on her moped back to a unit. Ruby and Rose arrive at her flat to collect the VHS tape. Carla impressed that Ruby may have a way to find out her bird's mother identity. However, upon hearing that Rose's mother works for UNIT, she remarks she will join too. She calls Mrs. Flood to come around and mind her mother Sherry Sunday for her and joins the two girls to head to UNIT. The others gone. Sherry asks Mrs. Flood, to make her a cup of tea, but she turns cold and begins warning her that something is coming. And he waits no more. A storm begins to appear in the distance. Back at Unity HQ, the doctor is running through information about Susan Triad when Kate walks up to him. She begins talking about her father, Alistair Gordon Lethbridge Stewart, and how he and the doctor used to have so many adventures together. Although she remarks he never mentioned the doctor having a granddaughter with him. Smiling, the doctor remarks that was then when he was a different doctor before his time with UNIT. Astonished, Kate remarks that means the doctor has children as well. However, the doctor remarks it isn't that simple. Giving his life as a time traveler and a time lord makes things like family dough to track and have. Kate wonders then if he would really recognize Susan if he saw her again, which the doctor firmly states he would. Emotional, he admits he can't risk it though because the connections are clearly a trap, and he believes he could actually harm her instead, keeping up the destruction he has brought on across his numerous lives. Kate consoles him, putting him into a hug. Just after Mel arrives, the doctor enthusiastically welcoming and hugging her as well. At the computer, Mel reveals she DNA sample she got from Susan still comes up as human. On cue, Ruby and Rose come running in with a VHS tape, but Carla was not given clearance. Despite Kate's concern, the doctor insists she can come up, using a sonic screwdriver to give her identity card level 1 clearance. The doctor then turns to Kate and, given it will be better, as to use Unit's time window to project the tape's memory of the past so they can see the image of the night as if they are actually there. Kate tries to claim that, per the doctor's warning in the 1970s, they never tampered with his time travel technology, but the doctor's insistence forces her to reveal they have to do 10 floors down. The group proceed to floor 45, a large open space with chronon windows and high-tech desks and reflectors. The doctor observes the area before bursting out in laughter, joking at the primitiveness of their time travel efforts compared to his own. Still, he takes command, leading Ruby to the head of security for the window, Colonel Winston Guidosi. Carla also arrives, standing in shock at the technology. Morris setups up the VHS tape, and the doctor orders everyone except himself, Ruby and Winston, are security, to leave the time window area. Kate, Rose, Mel, and Carla obey, watching as Ruby joins the doctor in the middle of the room. The doctor asks Ruby to tell him again about the story of her abandonment. As Ruby tells him, snow falls within the window. Kate and Morris are astounded because they haven't even activated yet. Eventually, the doctor permits them to do so, the machine blazing into action. Soon, a lifelike projection, Christmas Eve 2004, appears with Ruby and the doctor in the middle of it. The projection even produces the sound of the carol of the bells coming from the church. The best unit ever got the window to show was the faint outline of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. The doctor explains that Ruby's story and the VHS tape power the machine with memory. Time is embodying the memory to bring it to life in the window. The doctor narrates the events, Ruby's abandonment and her mother leaving the churchyard. On cue, the hooded figure appears, walking right at them. However, just as she about to reach them, she glitches, or in the doctor's words, shadows past them. Ruby tries to touch her, but the doctor holds her back. They can't risk changing the timeline. The woman stops. Carla explaining she appears to be crying. Suddenly, the TARDIS hum springs to life. The doctor from the past has arrived and proceeds to his conflict against the goblins. The doctor looks at the TARDIS. Unlike everything else, it appears solid, as though it is really there. Concerned, he ponders what reviving the memory of a time machine would do in a time window. The doctor turns back to the woman, but once more feels his memory of the events changing. As his new memory reveals, the woman does point to him as his past self returns from defeating the goblins. However, he feels it lasting longer than before, as though the timeline is changing again. He deduces that maybe the woman isn't pointing at his past self, but at something else. Kate, against Kate's wishes, he instructs Winston to wander around the time window to see past the TARDIS. Winston struggles to see much, eventually going behind the past TARDIS. Just after the hooded woman turns away and vanishes, devastating Ruby. They still do not know her identity. On schedule, the past doctor and TARDIS dematerialize too. However, Winston is not behind it, with a twister of black sand and orange particles appearing instead. The team panics, each calling out to Winston if he is okay. Carla cries out that she recognizes the twister as the essence of the beast. Winston's voice calls out from within it, but is distorted. The man saying that he is in hell and his soul has been seen. Chronon energy suddenly spikes to unsustainable levels. Despite Moore's efforts, the time window overloads, the memory exploding into nothingness. The snow now gone. The group look on to see Vince's body has appeared, but is now over 100 years old and covered in sand. He is dead. Kate glares at the doctor before calling her fellow teams on her comms. Option 10 and option 11 to bring up psych ops and forensics to the room. Doctor turns to Mel and orders her to take him to Susan Triad. The doctor and Mel arrive at the Triad Technology Tower using a psychic paper to get inside. However, the doctor stops once they are out of sight of the staff and begins punching the wall and collapses to the floor. He feels immense guilt for Winston's death. Mel assures him he will fix it and they must carry on with the job. They proceed upstairs. Mel introducing the doctor to Susan. The doctor shakes her hand, but nothing. He doesn't feel any Time Lord essence from her at all. He asks her if they have met before, but her PA team intervene and insist she has her announcement to make. Susan remarks she is so busy and struggles to sleep. The doctor asks her about the people she dreams about. His suggestions of Lindy Pepper Bean and the Villain Guard ambulance appearing to awaken memories within her. She leaves, but while not certain she is his granddaughter, the doctor decides to stay around to monitor Susan. Elsewhere, Kate, Harriet, Rose, and Morris analyze the VH tape again. This time, new footage of the Twister entity has appeared within it, 20 meters ahead of where the Doctor Stardust landed the first time. Time has changed once again. At Harriet's suggestion, they run the tape in reverse and see that a version of the Doctor Stardust is enveloped in the entity. Kate wonders if that means the entities around the present TARDIS still parked in their common room. Command room. And so Kate orders all of her non-essential staff to be evacuated, including Carla. The Blinks conducts a full chronological scan and concludes the entity is indeed around the Doctor's TARDIS. Kate contacts the Doctor, informing him about the entity potentially controlling the TARDIS. Simultaneously, a groan emits from the TARDIS. Flinks notes the entity is beginning to manifest into the room. The Doctor orders Kate to send Ruby back to the time window. She does so. She does so while she and the others confront the entity now appearing in the command room. At the time window, Ruby enters it, the machine activating and then autonomously, sending her back to Christmas Eve 2004 once again. The hooded figure appears, but this time walks towards Ruby from the opposite side. At the tower, Triad begins her announcement in the studio, but is suddenly overcome by a voice in her head. Confused, she rambles about how she has visions and bad dreams, collapsing in pain to the floor. Her PA, the Doctor, and Mel race to her. At the unit HQ, Kate ponders how they can combat the TARDIS if it has turned hostile. The TARDIS is practically invincible before demanding to whatever is surrounding the TARDIS to reveal themselves. Harriet interrupts her, beginning to rant that the god of death has, quote, seduced and delighted the vessel, end quote. Hearing this over the phone line, the Doctor asks Kate to tell him Harriet's full name. Harriet Harbinger. She is the harbinger for the god of death. Harriet rambles off a succession of various other gods. The Toymaker, the Trickster, the Mara, and Maestro, among them before finishing with the mother and father and other of them all. Sutek! As anagram of Susan Triad's technology is rearranged to form Sutek's name. Sutek. The Doctor then realizes that they were looking at the wrong anagram, as the entity then manifests a large beast towering up on top of the TARDIS at Unity HQ. At the same time, Susan transforms into a terrifying undead-like monster that brings, quote, the gift of death, end quote, disintegrating her PA into sand. Harriet also transforms. Triad taunts the Doctor, asking if really he thought she was family. In shock, the Doctor can only stand as Sutek's trap had worked. He announces now he is free. He intends to bring death to the Doctor and all life in the universe. To be continued. So, full name, some cast members. The Doctor is played by Nsuti Katwa. Ruby Sunday is played by Millie Gibson. Mel Bush is played by Bonnie Landford. Kate Stewart is played by Gemma Redgrave. Rose Noble is played by Yasmin Finney. Colonel Ibrahim is played by Alexander DeVrent. Morris Gibbons is played by Lenny Rush. Harriet Erbinger is played by Genesis Linnea. The Flinks is played by Aidan Cook. The voice of the Flinks is voiced by Nicholas Briggs. Susan Triad, Gina Scalzi, Villain Guard Ambulance, AI. Penny Pepper Bean, The Portrait, Slugma, Griffin, Susan Twist is played by Susan Twist. Bailey Sinclair is played by Vela Lufadeu. Carla Sunday is played by Michelle Greenwich. Mrs. Flood is played by Anita Dobson. Terry Sunday is played by Anjali Winter. For Colonel Winston Lemuel Theodosi is played by Tachia Newell. The voice of Sutek is played by Gabriel Wolf. And Corporal Alice Sullivan is played by Yasmine Bays. Some world building about Time Lords. Time Lords are able to meet and form relationships with their grandchildren before having children of their own due to their status as non-linear beings. It is heavily implied that this was how the first Doctor ended up meeting Susan Foreman. Interesting. Interesting. The Doctor mentions regeneration can sometimes serve to hide Time Lords away. And in fact, this channel is also non-linear. So interesting. I want to repeat it. This thing, first thing about Time Lords. So that Time Lords are able to meet and form relationships with their grandchildren before having children of their own due to their status as non-linear beings. And it is heavily implied that this way how the Doctor ended up meeting Susan Foreman. So non-linear. Remember that. Remember that. Organizations, world building organizations. So UNIT has set up gold protocols for the Doctor to land the TARDIS instead of materializing. For this, they open the helipad doors and clear the path to the computer wall. Second thing is that UNIT created a time window despite the third Doctor adamantly telling them in the 1970s not to meddle with time technology. Third Doctor is John Pertwee. So, but however, the code implies that its usage is strictly regulated to prevent any damage to time. World building in individuals. 6 points. The Doctor mentions the Kate's father, but not by name. Again, the Doctor shows his respect for his old friend by telling Ruby that he was the best of men. Second thing, Kate says her father told her tales about the Doctor when she was a kid. He sat by the firelight, his eyes shining. Oh, heartwarming. Third thing is that Mrs. Flood mentions she is always hiding herself away. Well, ooh, what's that? Fourth thing is that Mrs. Flood says Ruby once hoped she would get a growth spurt. Um, yeah, very mysterious. Fifth thing is that Sarah Sunday has to take 2 yellow tablets at 5 o'clock due to her illness. Sherry warns the Doctor is Sherry warns the Doctor is trouble. And the last thing is that the Doctor and Ruby have met the mysterious woman Susan Triad on a few unseen adventures. She was also a slugma on the planet Slug. On the planet Varsity, she was a griffin. The five-toed configuration, she was a bleed. So some world building in with the Doctor. The 14th Doctor is mentioned by the 15th when he asks Rose how her uncle is doing. Second thing is that the Doctor reveals to Ruby for the first time that the Time Lords can regenerate. The third thing is that Doctor actually described Mel as bonkers to Ruby, and that they are mates. The third thing is that the Doctor explains to Kate that he was a different Doctor when her father was alive. He says he used to be a great enigma, something he still can't shake off, but is trying to. Enigmatic. 5. Doctor is afraid if he goes back to see Susan, it might ruin her. And 6. The Doctor doesn't plan to regenerate again for a very long time. So, by the way, explains more about the fact that this channel is called Random Entertainment and why I'm called Enigmatic Joker. It's all about enigma, mysterious, random, non-linear. Some things about um, the Pantheon in the world building in Pantheon, and that is the toy maker, Maestro, and the Mara all are members of the Pantheon of Discord. Second thing is that Sutek is the quote father and mother and other end quote of the Pantheon. Third thing is that Sutek confirms she has used many names in the past, such as Seth, and Stek. Fourth thing, Sutek reveals new members of the Pantheon. The threefold deity of malice, mischief, and misery. But also Incensor, the god of disaster, and the children, doubt and dread, have yet to be seen. The same goes for Reprobate, the god of spite. Last thing is that in the Pantheon is that gods of skin and shame and secrets are also talked about. So there's a whole thing about the Pantheon of Discord, and needs another live stream to talk about that. An idea for later. Some story notes, and that is 5 things. Is that though the 15th Doctor claims to have never seen Susan since he left her behind, the story Fellow Traveler by Mark Geddes depicts the 13th Doctor meeting Susan. In fact, the second thing is that the Saxon Master's leitmotif is played when Susan Triad is reading her monitor Q lines. Third thing is that when Susan Triad does her dancing entrance, this is a reference to the real-life entrance of UK Prime Minister Theresa May. Theresa May did a similar dance entrance at the Tory conference event on 3rd of October 2018. A third thing is that the Doctor offhandedly tells Kate he would be able to recognize a regenerate Time Lord by looking them in the eyes. However, it seems that he has forgotten that he has repeatedly failed to do so. Missy and O surprised him by revealing that they were incarnations of the Master. It's interesting to mention this. Though the Yana incarnation did have the excuse of being rendered an amnesic human by the chameleon arts, the Doctor still did realize who Saxon Master was without a hitch. So it is all interesting. Repeat it again. That recognizing and regenerated Time Lord. That in the case of that he repeatedly failed to do so with Misty and O, for example, he didn't recognize them immediately. He didn't recognize immediately the Master, who also is a Time Lord. So maybe so it's a case. We have a case here. Last thing is that a story note is that the unit staff referred to one obvious example of an evil genius with secret alien software, whom they have been unable to stop. With Morris Gibbons remarking, "We'll get them. We'll get him." Last thing, continuity. Because I say this every live stream, the Doctor Universe is very big, expanded, extended, enigmatic, mysterious, random. Stories and episodes in Doctor Who universe are to some extent related to each other, are from influence to each other, are linked to each other, and reference to each other. We watch an episode, we watch an episode, and we discover new things, new links, new references, continuity. Um, a few things in the continuity of Doctor Who, and yeah, again, there's always some interpretation involved. But yeah, we discover and explore every time other things. Okay, continuity. Ibrahim salutes the TARDIS when it lands, which the Doctor does not object to. Doc previously disliked being saluted, a scene in TV story The Sontaran Stratagem. Um, that is a story. The 10th Doctor, Johnny's End, and the Caretaker. Second thing is that various recurring life forms the Doctor and Ruby encountered, specifically in TV story Space Babies, Boom, Dot and Bubble, and Rogue, are all revealed to be versions of Susan Triads. Another thing is that the Triad technology was previously established in TV story The Giggle. And the Giggle with the 14th Doctor David Tennant and the Church of Ruby Road, the Christmas special. A fourth thing is that Ruby remembers the Doctor telling her he had a granddaughter, Susan Foreman, in the TV story The Devil's Court. A fifth thing is that while the timeline was erased from existence, Ruby's alternate self had previously met Kate during the events of a TV story 73 Yards. Another thing is that Sutek returns and he refers to himself as Beast, Set, and Sadok, having last appeared in TV story Pyramids of Mars. That is with Fourth Doctor Tom Baker and companion Sarah Jane Smith. And by the way, there is an addition to that, adds to that, with Tales of the TARDIS. Was last week. And looking back to this story, in fact. Another thing is that the TARDIS makes the same noise it made in TV story Wild Blue Yonder. That is with the 14th Doctor David Tennant and his companion Donna Noble. Also the same noise in the Devil's Court and in Rogue, which revealed as Sutek controlling it. Another thing is that Rubis recounts her being left abandoned at the church on Ruby Road, how Carla found her, and how she contacted Davina McCall to try to find her real mother in TV story The Church on Ruby Road, for reference to that. Another thing is that unit calculates the distance of the CCTV footage that Ruby has of her mother at church during the night. She was abandoned in 2004, was filmed 66.7 meters away from a church. When converted, this is 73 yards. The same distance that the woman from TV story 73 yards was from Ruby after the very side circle was broken. Another thing is that the doctor stops Ruby trying to interact with her mother for fear of changing the timeline. The ninth Doctor, Christopher Eccleston, previously failed to stop Rose Tyler doing this with her father, Pete Tyler, during the events of TV story Father's Day. Another thing is that the Doctor remarks she can't go back to the night Ruby was born using the TARDIS again because he would be crossing his own timeline, thereby time locking the event. This is established numerous times as a key problem with time travel because they became part of events, as noted in TV story The Parting of the Ways, The Unicorn and the Wasp, The Stolen Earth, and The Angels Take Manhattan. Another thing is that the Doctor states he can't allow Ruby to change the events of the night she was born because it is a fixed point in time, meaning breaking it would severely damage the universe, as displayed in TV story The Fires of Pompeii, The Forest of the Dead, Impossible Astronaut, The Girl Who Waited, and The Wedding of River Song. The Doctor manages fighting the goblins to save Ruby, as seen in TV story The Church on Ruby Road. However, he also notes that his memory of the event keeps changing, as established in TV story The Space Babies. Indeed, this time, Ruby's mother does point at the Doctor despite not doing so when he first visited the events. Another thing is that when Kate asks him if he would recognize Susan if he met her again, he asserts he would given the connection Time Lords have. The 10th Doctor noted this ability Time Lords had when recognizing the Section Master during the events of TV story The Sound of Drums and The End of Time. And the 11th Doctor remarked similar statements when hoping to find the Corsair in TV story The Doctor's Wife. Next thing, the series suddenly asks Mr. Flood for a cup of tea, having kept asking for one in TV story The Church on Ruby Road. Another thing is that Mel still works for Unit, as seen in TV story The Giggle with the 14th Doctor. Mel says she lost her own family to the most terrible things. The toy maker previously mocked Mel for being an orphan. We see that in the TV story The Giggle. Rose Noble now works for Unit, mentioning her mother, Donna working for them too, as arranged in TV story The Giggle. Time loop. Unit has a new scientific advisor, Morris Gibbons, with Shirley Bingham currently away from the tower in Geneva, having previously appeared as an advisor in TV story The Star Beast and The Giggle. Another thing is that Unit Tower is still the main base of operations, as established in TV story The Giggle. Another thing is that Harriet is a harbinger, like Henry was for Maestro in TV story The Devil's Court. And also, Harriet mentions the appearances of the toy maker as seen in TV story The Giggle, and Maestro as shown in the TV story The Devil's Court. She also mentions the trickster as the god of traps, although the entity personally identified as the god of gales in TV story Whatever Happened to Sarah Jane. This Sarah Jane adventure story. Like the toymaker and maestro in aforementioned adventures, the Doctor met the trickster before in his 10th incarnation during the events of TV story The Wedding of Sarah Jane Smith. Also, a Sarah Jane adventure. Another thing is that the toymaker previously expressed in TV story The Giggle that he avoided facing the one who waits, revealed as a Sutek in a game as they made them run away. Another thing is that Doctor misinterprets the anagram of S Triad for Susan TARDIS rather than Sutek. He previously misunderstood the face of Bo's You Are Not Alone anagram of Yana as warning of the Section Master returning in TV story Utopia. Another thing is that Susan Triad declares she brings Sutek's gift of death after killing her assistant. The servant of Sutek previously said similar before killing Namin in TV story Pyramids of Mars, 1975 story with fourth Doctor Tom Baker. Kate recalls how her father, Alistair Gordon Ledbetter Stewart, and the Doctor used to work together since at least the 1970s. In notable adventures like TV story Three Doctors and Planet of the Spiders. That's with John Pertwee, the third Doctor. Now, other thing is the Doctor believes he is a bringer. The Doctor believes he is a bringer of destruction and death. I believe expressed numerous times, like a TV story Rose, The Lazarus Experiment, The Family of Blood, Journey's End, The God Complex, and The Name of the Doctor. One thing is that the Doctor mentions his previous incarnation, asking Rose, "How's your uncle?" referencing how the 14th Doctor called Rose his niece in TV story The Giggle. Another thing is that Kate is surprised that her father never mentioned Susan Foreman to her. The Brigadier and Susan briefly met in a TV story The Five Doctors. Another thing is that Susan Triad mentions dreams of a quote world with orange skies. End quote. Gallifrey was previously established to have orange skies in TV story Gridlock, The Sound of Drums, and Hell Bent. And the last thing, Kate believes that the Doctor never saw Susan again after they parted company. The Doctor doesn't tell her that his eighth incarnation caught up with her in the audio story An Unearthly Child, Relative Dimensions, Lucy Miller, To the Death, All Hands on Deck, and the Shoreditch Intervention. So, and that's my friends and companions. That's all I have to say about this story. Actually, the first episode of this story, want it is the first half, the first part of the finale, in fact. And I repeat it for the third time. Oh, about a few hours, we have the ultimate finale called Empire of Death on Disney Plus and BBC iPlayer, and later today on BBC One. Okay, now some commercial. So, sci-fi and fantasy fans, all sort of fans, meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music and sport, and a special place on this channel for Doctor Who. Random, because we discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books and music. Repeating, time loop. Random, because we broadcast on non-fixed times, actually many different times. You need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. Random, also, because we have no guests or different guests. It depends on what you join me in Livestream or panel. If you want to join me in Livestream, feel free to contact me via Discord or YouTube, and we will look what is possible. And the, and also, feel free to invite me for your channel, for your Livestream or panel, because I want to contribute also on your channel. I'm delighted to talk about things, especially things about Doctor Who. So, summary is you are invited for a live stream on my channel, and feel free to invite me for your channel. So, cheers, mate, and have lots of fun. This is your host, Enigmatic Joker. Okay, have a nice day, everyone. Have a nice weekend, and remember, about a few hours, Empire of Death, Disney Plus. Use your iPlayer. And later on the day, BBC One. Okay. Bye bye, everyone. Bye bye, everyone. I'm looking forward to meet you.